Welcome, traveler. Tonight's tale is one of shadow and choice. Have you ever wondered, what would you do if the person who destroyed your life came back into it, helpless in your hands? Would you save them or let fate take its revenge through you? This is Anna's story. It was a crisp autumn evening when Daniel left work, the sun melting into shades of gold over the city skyline. In his hand, a paper bag carried the warm scent of roasted chicken and fresh bread. A simple dinner, but a special one. Friday nights were for his family, his wife, Elena, and their 15-year-old daughter, Anna. He smiled at the thought of them waiting, the table set, laughter ready to fill their small but cozy home. Daniel was the kind of man who found joy in ordinary moments. A quiet walk, his daughter's chatter about school, his wife's soft humming as she tidied the kitchen. His life was not extravagant, but it was whole. Just a few streets away, another life moved in a very different direction. A young man named Michael, barely in his 20s, gripped the wheel of his car with reckless bravado. Music roared, the night spun in laughter. Bottles passed around like trophies. He laughed off their warnings. He could handle it. He always could. Or so he thought. Fate brought their paths together. At an intersection, headlights sliced across Daniel's calm walk. Tires screeched, metals screamed, and the world shattered. The paper bag flew from his arms, dinner scattering across the pavement. The impact was sudden, merciless. Daniel never made it home. When the knock came at their door, Elena knew before a single word was spoken. Something inside her broke when she saw the officer's face. At the kitchen table, Anna froze, her homework half finished, her fork resting beside the plate set for her father. Grief fell upon their home like an endless winter. Elena tried to hold strong, but her shoulders grew heavy, her eyes always swollen with tears. At night, Anna would wake to the sound of her mother's muffled sobs through the wall. The days turned into months, then years. But grief has a way of eating into the soul. Elena, consumed by sorrow, grew frail. Depression gave way to illness, and within 4 years of Daniel's death, Anna lost her mother too. At 20 years old, Anna stood at the edge of 2 graves, utterly alone. But grief forged in her something unshakable. If she could not save her father, if she could not save her mother, she would dedicate her life to saving others. Anna threw herself into medicine. While her friends partied, she studied. While others rested, she worked. Hospitals became her sanctuary. Operating rooms, her battlefield. Behind the mask and gloves, she became a force of life itself. Each stitch, each incision, carried the vow she had whispered in the dark. Never again. No family will feel what I felt. Not if I can stop it. And yet, life still held small mercies. During her residency, she met David. He wasn't dazzling or loud, but steady, kind, and patient. The kind of man who noticed when she hadn't eaten, who stayed with her on nights she dreaded the silence. Slowly, carefully, she let him into her guarded heart. They married, and when their daughter Lily was born, Anna wept with joy and sorrow all at once. Holding that tiny life, she finally understood her mother's pain more deeply than ever. She understood what it meant to lose a partner, to be left behind. But this time she vowed things would be different. She would give her daughter the love and stability she herself had been denied. And what of Michael, the man who had stolen so much from her? Prison had stripped away his arrogance. Each night, guilt gnawed at him, replaying the crash over and over. When he walked out years later, he was not the same man. Instead of drowning in shame, he turned it into purpose. He got sober, he worked tirelessly, and eventually founded an institute, a place where young people could find refuge from the grip of drugs and alcohol. He spoke at schools, he counseled families, he offered hope. Society came to see him not as a monster, but as a man redeemed. Some even called him an inspiration, but not Anna. She never read his name, never followed his story. To her, he remained the thief of her childhood, the destroyer of her family. For all she cares, he is dead. For 15 years, their lives ran parallel, separate, distant, until that night, fate brought them back together. It was well past midnight when ambulance sirens wailed into Anna's hospital. She was on shift when the call came. Male patient, cardiac arrest, unstable vitals. Prepare the OR. The gurney burst through the doors, surrounded by nurses and paramedics. Anna stepped forward, calm, focused. She reached for the clipboard as the nurse read out the name, Michael. Her world stopped. The man on the table was older now, gray, streaking his hair, but unmistakable. The same face that haunted her nightmares. The man who had taken her father from her. The man who had stolen her mother's joy. 15 years of buried grief came rushing back like a storm. The team waited for her orders, unaware of the history that crackled in the room. Her chest heaved, her hands trembled. Inside her, two voices screamed. One said, "You are a surgeon. You swore an oath. Save him." The other hissed, "He never gave your father a chance. Why should you give him one now?" The lights glared down. The instruments gleamed. The weight of life and death sat in her hands. What should she do? Tell me, traveler, what would you do? Would you save the life of the man who destroyed your family? Or would you let the fate carry its course even if you could intervene? Let's take a look into the outcome of both. Maybe it will help you make your ultimate decision. Here, Anna chose her oath. Anna closed her eyes. She thought of her father, not the night he died, but the way he lived. Gentle, patient, always doing the right thing. Would she betray him by letting hatred guide her? Her voice rang steady. Scalpel. Her hands moved with precision, fueled not by anger, but by duty. Hours passed. At last, the monitors steadied. The heartbeat was strong. Michael lived. When he opened his eyes and saw her, his face paled. Recognition, horror, guilt. "You," he whispered. "It's you." Anna's gaze was ice. "Yes, it's me." Tears streaked down his face. "I don't deserve this." Her voice cut like steel. "You don't, but I did it anyway. Not for you, for my father, for the oath I swore. Don't waste the life you've been given. Again." She walked away, leaving him with the unbearable weight of both his guilt and her mercy. Here, Anna chose revenge. Anna stared at him, memories searing her mind, her mother's sobs, lonely birthdays, the empty chair at every family meal. Her father had no second chance. Why should Michael? Her hesitation was subtle. A delay no one noticed. A decision made quietly. The monitors wailed. The line went flat. The team fought, but Anna's voice was calm. "Call it. Time of death, 2:14 a.m. To everyone else, it was tragedy. To Anna, it was justice. As she removed her gloves, she whispered only for him. "Now you know what it feels like to be taken too soon." When she went home, she kissed her daughter's forehead, her heart heavy. She had avenged her father, but her soul carried the weight of the choice. And so, the dilemma remains. When faced with the man who destroyed her family, Anna held his life in her hands. Should she honor her oath and save him, or let him die and claim her revenge. Choose your ending wisely. Remember, traveler, in the end, the line between justice and vengeance is as fragile as the beat of a human heart. And so, the tale ends, but the echoes remain. Until we meet again, traveler, may your choices cast gentler shadows. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more dilemmas and moral tales if you enjoyed this story. More are to follow. Also, ring the bell so you can be notified as soon as the new story is published.